everyone, to another product review. I'm pretty excited about this one because I like your products. I think they're pretty nifty. I hope we get to see some demos, but I'm going to kick it off here. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure of me being here this year as well. We were here last year, and it has been a lot of things released so far about our product. I'm so excited to talk about it. But first, let me introduce myself. Hazal Sener, a Senior Solutions Architect at SqlDBM. In my role, I basically provide technical support, training, and product demonstrations for our users. So basically, when it comes to technical aspects, I'm one of the first contacts for the users.
Okay.
And today, we are going to talk about SqlDBM's product review, but I would like to start talk what SqlDBM is all about for those who are seeing the tool as the first time today. This is going to be very interesting. And I'm going to talk about what is coming soon under the product review, because there are so many exciting features that we have been working on, and they are really big features. That's going to bring a lot of important aspects from the tool. And then we are going to see the tool in action. So SqlDBM is a SaaS solution that provides users data modeling, data governance, and schema monitoring services. So the tool basically hosted on the cloud. It means that it brings a lot of advantages and opportunities for its users, because being on the cloud, as you know, you can access easily. It just eliminates the dependency on a single machine. And while doing that, it provides a lot of security as well, like single sign-on using Okta and Azure AD technologies, etc. There are so many advantages being on the cloud, so I can't finish counting everything. But we are going to touch base on why data modeling is important being on the cloud. So we will talk about it later. And also the tool provides very strong security features. Like if a person would like to host their own metadata on their preferred cloud platform, they can basically do that in Azure Blob, AWS 3 Bucket, and Google Cloud Platform as well. So they can also set the private link just to prevent the public threats to accessing the tool. And we have also audit log monitoring, where you can actually access and see all the users' activities on the tool. And of course, IP access management can be also done through SqlDBM, giving the access or blocking some access for a bunch of IP addresses. So let's talk about why cloud is important. As you see here on the left side, this is the auth modeling. So auth modeling system depend on one modeler. It wasn't because the companies prefer to work only one person for the data modeling. It was because of the limitations of the tools that we had in the past. Because they were not a cloud, so the updates were not synchronized with the database, because we do reverse engineer and people map everything manually. So nobody is aware of what is happening here, because you are working with 5 developers. Yeah. And you really have to have a strong communication skill and the tool, and just to keep everything up to date. And this is the new system that we have as we are on the cloud. The communication is easy, collaboration is easy, access is easy. So like that, we can also hit the data mesh, because data mesh is building a decentralized data modeling. Because when we talk about data, is also covered metadata. So it's not only data mesh is aiming the real data that we are talking about right now, it has to be applied to metadata as well. So also this is the important part that we can talk about when we hear what is new in data is also new in metadata, because it's a part of data, right?
Right.
And I'm going to talk about what is coming soon. There's very interesting features. And so let's start with the logical projects. So the logical projects will allow people to create a project without depending on any physical database. So those databases that we are supporting, some of them, the cloud ones, a direct connection, because another advantage of being on the cloud that you can interact with other cloud platforms easily, in a secure way, of course. And so here, there will be an option that you can create a logical project and then map this as physical projects. So we are going to actually take the logical projects out of the physical perspective.
Is this something that you would use when you're planning things, or when would this be most useful?
Exactly. This can be also a reason for the use case. And the other use case that, so what we are doing here with the data modeling, we would like to fit the business users, right? This is, we are the data people. I am building this, but not for me. And non-technical people are going to consume this. So I can't present something so technical to them, because it's not going to be efficient.
They're not going to understand.
That's why the logical projects are important. It's going to give you at the business language level of detail to people. So
Right.
you don't need to put the underscores, mention the IDs, codes, etc. And logical projects will give more descriptive definitions at your entities, right? So in the logical part, you call an entity, but in the reality, it is called a table in the
Right.
database.
Right.
But so non-technical people wouldn't understand what you mean by table, but entity would make more sense to business users.
Right. Right.
And the other one is global modeling, and it has 4 pillars. One of them has been already released. And imagine that I have a project is created from Snowflake, so I will have the ability to embed another entity from a different project that was created from Databricks or SQL Server. So this can be used for migration purposes for any reason, or it doesn't have to be migration because some big organizations are using multiple databases because of big data, and each team has different structures, etc. And this can also tie and communicate, collaborate different teams together. So if you are using Snowflake, you are doing other team structures, and the other one is using the Databricks or SQL Server. So this can close the gap, technical gap between the technical teams.
Right.
So it's kind of mixing the databases.
Okay.
And the global search is coming soon, so it's also part of global modeling. So it's give you the ability to search any kind of keyword across all your accounts. So you have, imagine 10 projects from different databases or the same database, but you can search a specific keyword at the object name even based on the description.
Right.
So it's very, very in detail. And the lineage is coming soon. So imagine I embed an entity externally into my project, so I can build a lineage at the column level. Also, I can start the global standards. I can add the global standards to my account. So those are the standards for the projects that you can reuse. You don't have to repeat those standards anytime you create a new project. So this is going to save a lot of time as well. And let's see it in action. So I'm going to show SqlDBM. And I'm planning to do the reverse engineer to show the direct connection, as we talked about interacting with other cloud platforms. And last year we talked about Snowflake, and this year I'm going to focus on Databricks.
Okay.
So Databricks has Hyperight store and Unity catalog. You can directly connect to both platforms.
Wait, let me make sure I heard you right.
Yeah.
You said stored in Unity catalog, and people would think, okay, well that is our data catalog, and everything that's outside, I guess we're just not going to catalog it or something like that. But you're saying that this integrates with that and sort of is also able to catalog other stuff so that you don't have to make a choice between the two, or how would you describe
No,
it?
it is not a choice because it's a database and we are a modeling tool. So whatever you do in our tool, everything is done visually, and the tool is going to generate the code for you. And this is the main differentiator. Otherwise, it's not going to make sense what Databricks supports. We do support exactly the same. So what if I'm going to use your tool, or either I just work with Databricks? I won't make my life complicated.
So this is just a better way of working with those things.
Yeah. Exactly. So we are going to see the direct connection now, and I have 2 options. Either I can use the engineering clusters, but if I'm connecting the Unity catalog, it supports the API. So with that, I can connect in some seconds, just type in my credentials here, and this is just going to bring me the Unity catalogs that this token has permission to see, because it's a personal access token. It has exactly the same limitations or permissions at this token level. And I'm going to select one Unity catalog and multiple schemas. So we will bring the metadata. And now we are going to see the preview of database objects. So here, as you see, I have the managed tables. Those are the traditional ones. And I have the external table. And this is something, a good differentiator in the tool by making a categorization so you can understand what external table you have. In the database, you had to write a code or go into the detail if this table is an external table. Other than that, you wouldn't know if it was. So once we hit import, I'm going to see here at the reverse engineer diagram, and everything is brought and built a relationship. Because I know Unity catalog supports the constraints, but if I was working with the Hyperight store, constraint is not part of Hyperight store because underlying logic is used Apache Spark. It has the format of Apache Spark. And that's why I'm going to here show the suggested relationships that I have in case I didn't have any constraints. I can define it as a keyword, like based on the keywords. And the tool is going to scan all the project and will give me some suggestions, right? So let's say those are the ones that I want to build. So this is going to be marked with virtual primary key. They are going to live in the tool. And this can be also use case for high meta store users. You don't need to generate them in your DDL, but you still can create your ER diagrams, right?
Yeah.
And the second step is the one that I'm going to create the relationships. Now I have the primary keys. Now I need the foreign keys. So I can basically create them as well. And everything is going to be linked. And this is where you can start modeling. So this is the physical layer. As I said, the external table is important because we have the differentiator here, which is a little cloud icon. And we also have the default constraints. Default constraint is so default value, let's say, more like business layer like we are talking about. So order status is always active. So we can reverse engineer this, but we can also change this here on hand. If the default value is not active anymore, I can change this, and the tool is going to generate alter statement for me. So I'm going to do everything visually here. What I can also do is double click and change the data type, add a new column. And anytime I hit the save button, I'm going to generate a new revision. So I have the version controlling. I can see the changes between the revisions at the DDL level or even at the visual level because I have the revisions option here. And the revisions option is going to bring me all the revisions history.
Right.
And I can see what I've been working for, and I can roll back to any previous revision, etc.
I feel like this kind of a tool, you know, it's easy for an engineer to appreciate the convenience of being able to work with all the databases in this way. What I don't think necessarily is obvious to business decision makers is, you know, when those projects are stuck in migration, because you've forgotten sort of how the things are connected. You have to try edge cases. Maybe there's some data quality issues and stuff like that. If you had just had something like this, describing what's going on in Snowflake or whatever, those migration issues wouldn't be an issue.
Exactly.
I think like the navigation that you were going through there, sort of showing how the things are connected. It's hard to convey exactly how convenient that is for businesses that want to, you know, either migrate from a legacy system to something new,
exactly.
or just, you know, for me as a data scientist, actually, I wanted to export some stuff from Snowflake and model it in this GPU database. Mm-hmm. But to do that export, nobody really remembered how the tables were connected and where stuff came from. If we had just had something like this, we could have figured it out ourselves.
Exactly.
We wouldn't have had to bother the database admin and ask, can you show us how to write a query that does this and this?
Exactly.
This is like commenting your programming code. It should be the law to have something like this.
Exactly, yeah, definitely. You are right. I agree with you. It's very important. And I'm going to open an existing project because there I want to show the concurrent modeling, which it means that multiple people can work simultaneously for the same project thanks to the merging and branching system into SqlDBM, very similar to the Git.
Let me just ask, is this, so I suppose that means it's version controlled something, right? Or
yeah, those versions are the version controls. At any time I generate a new branch and merge into the main, this is a version. You know, you are not going to lose any change. You can roll back to any previous revision. And those are the branches that I created from the main branch. So since the concurrent working is activated, you will have the main branch appears here from the latest revision. And this is read-only. Remember where the save button was appearing earlier, and it's going to appear now view only. So I can't make any change here. I can see, I can move the entities and play with that, but I can't generate a revision because it's a main branch.
right.
But here, I wanted to show you how the global objects work. So I have the Databricks project, but imagine that I was migrating from SQL Server, right? I can select the SQL Server sample project, and somehow I have a question with the customer entity. Somehow I couldn't migrate it well, or something is missing.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to add this as global objects, and I can see the project has been added here, SQL Server, and I have the table, etc. So where is my table? I can double click, and I can find where the table is. So it's a bit like brought here, a bit like out of somewhere. I can bring it closer.
Yeah.
As you see, I have a different indicator here. It says the frame means that it's coming from SQL Server, although I work in Databricks project, right? This is my Databricks project, but I bring something from SQL Server. So here's the question. I don't work with SQL Server project. If someone changes something on this table, is this change going to reflect here as well? Yes, the answer is yes. The tool will just show up here, kind of refresh button, so you would understand I need to refresh my table. In case that you change the customer name to something else or the data type, this is going to refresh as well. And here we can create also relationships. So, okay, this table has a relationship with a line item, but no, I have a question, and I can flag by the question and mention somebody's name here and for help, because this person knows what is going on with this table. Like, let me add this person, or this one, doesn't matter, maybe this one. So I can just ask kind of help and just review. So this is the team communications. Exactly. So this is how it works. And it has 3 pillars more. This is one of them. Is really so exciting. And
it is cool that when there are updates to the table, I mean that the this is like documentation, right? And if you have to maintain the documentation or ask somebody to also go in and change something after they've made a change in the system, it's not twice as much work, but people forget to do it.
Exactly.
And the fact that it's mirrored here immediately is very nice.
This is how we keep the consistency, of course.
Yeah.
And table templates coming soon. This is also, it's going to be also done for consistency purpose. We have the column templates that you can create a bunch of columns. For example, contract ID. It has a number 38. This is created by me. Maybe you will create it as integer something else, right? But the contract ID is the same field, although it is located in different tables.
Right.
So it should be consistent in terms of the description, data type, and this is where the metadata quality comes. It has to make sense. And so the table templates are coming. It's going to work very similarly. So we already have it for Snowflake, Google BigQuery, and Databricks is coming soon, what we are also working on. But also, I wanted to mention here the forward engineer. So we talk about making a reverse engineer and editing, but we can also create everything from scratch in the tool to build the enterprise schemas, right? So either I can generate an SQL with the create statement, and I can push the Git to automate the CI/CD process, or the purpose of version controlling from the Git side as well. But we do have generate alter statement as well. So as I did reverse engineer, I didn't create everything from scratch. I can select one of the previous revisions here and hit generate alter statement. As you see, the comparison will be between the revisions, and it will drop the constraints. What else I did here? Like maybe the new objects will come with the create statement, etc. Right? But very interesting thing here, we can generate this script in YAML format to be used in DBT, data build tool.
Okay.
Imagine that I am modeling my sources now. I need to generate the YAML file that are going to use in DBT as a source functions, right?
Yeah.
So here I can select source YAML, hit generate YAML, and the YAML generation will be done through the tool. So you might ask me, where is this freshness coming from? Where did you define this? This is source freshness and DBT YAML compatible format. So here it is done through the database documentation. So this is our place where you can see a lot of metadata all together. And as you see, we have the governance fields, and one of the advantages having this governance fields is that you can create your custom fields. While doing that, you can include this as metadata. So it's going to come by metadata input in the YAML generation. So you can define the owner or whatever that doesn't come from your physical structure of your database, right? And the other part is important here that we have the DBT properties. So this freshness is selected. So what it does that, it brings the templates, and you can basically modify the code over the template, so you don't have to remember what was the syntax, or I have to go to DBT documentation to find it, etc. And since you have it there, you can generate them here in this interface. This is where it was coming from, right? Cool. And again, you can use the API to get the YAML generation out of SqlDBM.
Well, let me ask that, because I saw a cool idea yesterday, which was to generate table descriptions and comments, because, you know, people will fill that stuff in and they'll say finance table. It's like, what does that say? So well, maybe you can use an LLM that won't make the best table description, but better than finance table. And so does SqlDBM have like an API where maybe, you know, if you have some kind of script that does that stuff, that it could push it into SqlDBM and have it sort of propagate out to the right places?
Oh, that's a great question, actually. Some databases allows this to do with the AI, with automated version. What AI does is take a look at the name of the table and the name of the columns, make a suggestion. But there, still you need a person who is going to confirm the description. If this is correct. This is a machine, right?
Yeah.
And in SqlDBM, we have the database documentation that you can export this to an Excel via Excel. Because, you know, people like working with Excel sheets, and it's easy to share and collaborate with the business units. They don't have to be the SqlDBM user.
Yeah.
And the description doesn't come from the data people. It comes from the business. So I need to share this with the business.
Right.
And then they will provide me the descriptions. After having everything written in Excel, I can upload it back.
Okay.
So all the missing descriptions will be updated from an Excel.
Is there a way to do it via API as well?
You can't get the descriptions out of SqlDBM using the API.
Okay. Can you push descriptions back?
It's a post API. It's coming soon.
Okay. Just add it to the wish list. No, but that's cool. Awesome. I love the demo.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. And go ahead and look up SqlDBM. I hope you enjoyed that product review. And we'll be seeing you shortly again. Thank you.
Bye.